Hello once again, my dear students. So this is the continuation of our lecture on the different tools of psychological assessment. We were able to tackle the first tool, which is test or psychological test. And then the second one is interview. And this time, as you can see on your screen, um, there is what we call a tool which is portfolio. So what is this all about? Portfolio, these are work products of an individual which are retained on paper, canvas, film, video, audio, or some other medium that are samples of his ability and accomplishment. So when you say portfolio, it's just like these are the ones that you find as attachments to documents, for example, that are being requested by an organization where you would like to apply in. So aside from your curriculum vitae, um, well, there are some human resource practitioners who would require the applicant to be attaching these evidences. Okay, so you can see there what were their written works, which were accomplished with high colors or which were recognized, for example, by um, accrediting bodies. Okay, what else? Awards of these people. Where have they been for the past years in their lives, wherein they have exerted in their um, respective field of specialization. Okay. You can also see their audio recordings of these people, no? So they are part of what you call um, work products of an individual. Or this person might have been part of a certain film. And for this person, this is an achievement to him or to her. And so it becomes a part or a major um, part of his life, which he calls a good memory. And that is why this person has retained it. Talaga namang itinago niya yan. At noong kinailangan, dahil tinanong ito ng kanyang assessor sa kanya, then she or he has something to show to the assessor. Because in one way or the other, the things that are written by an assessee or the ones which the assessee consider as valuable to him or to her could say something about the personality of the a person as well as the well-being of this individual, 'di ba? So, ang lahat ng 'yon, for example, meron siyang magandang um, uh, drawing o kaya painting at hanggang ngayon andun pa. And then, uh, she talks about this in one of your interviews maybe, and you noticed as an assessor na tila ba napakahalaga nito sa kanya, kaya nabanggit niya ito. So, there is something psychological that is attached to all of these things um, kept by this person. Particularly, no, these are samples daw of his ability and accomplishment. So, more or less, when you get to see how able this person is or how accomplished this person is, you as an assessor will be able to think that this is the reason why pala when you talk with this person, napaka-mature niya. Okay? She has a very good perspective on things, and even if you have known that this person struggled for some time in his life, here he is buhay pa rin, nakikipag-usap sa'yo, and he is still proud of his achievements or of his accomplishments. So that's how portfolio works. Okay, that's how portfolio works. Um, it gives you it gives you a bird's eye view of um, how this person had been, okay, has been, and will be. So, ganun yun. Yun ang um, kahalagahan ng pagkakaroon ng portfolio. And this is used as an assessment tool by an assessor to his assessee. Okay. Now, we go to the next. There is what we call case history data. So, as you can see, case history data refers to the records, transcripts, and other accounts in written, pictorial, or other form that preserve archival information. It's just like those that are found in the portfolio, right? Official and informal accounts and other data and items relevant to an assessee. The reason why it is under case history data, it is because um, the use is that your assessee has an idiosyncratic behavior or a peculiar behavior, or shall we say case nga eh, no? Something that is uh, something that is so unique with this person that not everybody else, no, has. Yung tao lang ngayon or yung kaharap mo lang na assessee mo ang merong ganitong kondisyon or ang merong ganitong um, disposition or yung merong ganitong kaso. And that is why ang kakalkalin mo ay yung records na ito, yung transcripts na ito. Okay? For example, nag-suicide etong taong ito who is known in the community to be very successful. Pero what could have been the reason kung bakit pa rin siya nag-suicide or nagawa niyang mag-suicide? So, by looking into these records or transcripts or lahat ng pwede mong kalkalin patungkol sa kanya, more or less, you will have an information and you will be able to analyze the underlying reasons for um, for the suicide, no, of this individual. Okay? Of this individual. Kaya nga ang mga forensic psychologists class, hindi sila basta-basta nagsasabi na ang case ay closed na. Okay? They would look into records talaga so that they will be able to understand, no, the underlying circumstances about the death of the person maybe, or about the idiosyncrasies or peculiarities in the case of this individual. Okay? Kaya nga, paano ba nag-pause or nagpo-pause, no, sa kanyang social media account itong taong ito? And kapag ka nagkaroon ng cryptic messages, for example, no, itong mga to, sasabihin mong trip lang nung nag-pause, pero there is something behind it. There are psychological reasons which could have moved the person of posting such a cryptic message, okay? Or of posting such a morbid idea in social media. So, dun mo pala mapagtanto na mayroong mga taong I need hugs right now, uh, biglang black yung nilagay niya na profile picture niya. And this will give you a an idea, maybe, which you need to consider in your analysis of his case. Like for the past months, bakit naman ganito na ang nakikita mo sa kanyang Facebook account? Na usually hindi naman. Okay. So, all of these are also considered when you do case study. When you do case study. So, you call that the tool case history data. The data that you are going to gather, okay, are very helpful in analyzing the case of this particular individual. And that is the reason why there is a term called case study or case history. So this is a report of illustrative account concerning a person or an event that was compiled on the basis of case history data. So anong tawag sa end, no, ng case history data na nakalap? You are going to make a case study or a case history report of your assessee, because it has to be done. This is the best evaluation tool that you have to employ because your assessee has a particular peculiar case. Okay? Kaya nga tinawag na case study eh, no? Kaya nga tinawag na case history eh, kakaiba. So, kokonti lang ang may kaso ng ganyan. For example, ng magandang iki-case study, incest. Like this is a normal, this is not a normal phenomenon. Okay? When I say it's not a normal phenomenon or it's not a normal behavior, no, by your loved ones to be raping yung kadugo mo, ganon. Hindi lahat ng tao gumagawa niyan. Hindi lahat ng parents or hindi lahat ng mga siblings ay pwedeng gumawa niyan. Kaya kakaiba ang kaso niya. So, case study ang gagawin mong report. And this is based from case history data. Okay? And then the next one is behavioral evaluation as a tool for psychological assessment. When we say behavioral observation, you are to observe the behavior of your assessee. And is that possible? Is that possible to do? Oo naman, 'di ba? Isn't it that when you interview a person, you are already observing him at the same time, 'di ba? So the way this person looks at you eye to eye, okay, the way this person responds to you, that is already one way of observing the behavior of your assessee. So what do you do when you employ behavioral observation? You monitor the actions of others or oneself by visual or electronic means while recording quantitative and or qualitative information regarding those actions. You are observing the behavior. And when you say observing the behavior, these are behaviors that are outwardly manifested, di ba? Kasi wala ka namang ibang alam na pinanggagalingan ng ine-exhibit na behavior ng taong yan, kundi yung nagdadaan sa kanyang kukote. Kung hindi, yung nasa isip niya. And it is outwardly manifested through behavior. That is why it is possible to observe the behavior of assessees. And when does this often used? Okay? It is often used as a diagnostic aid in various settings such as inpatient facilities. So, clinical setting ito. Okay. Or when you say diagnostic aid, there are people who need immediate attention, who need immediate diagnosis, and that is basically the reason why very vital ang behavioral observation. Yung bang tipong ang doktor, kailangan niyang makita ang kanyang pasyente para malaman niya kung kailangan pa ba siyang ipauwi, okay, or iuwi ng kanyang mahal sa buhay sa bahay nila, o kaya dalhin na kaagad sa mental health facility. Kasi ang case niya, based on your diagnosis, ay emergency ito. Dahil baka makaka-harm pa siya ng ibang tao kapag pinauwi mo pa to. Things like those to consider. So, ang behavioral observation, ganon ka-importante na gamitin. Makikita mo kung ang tao, kailangan ba niya ng tulong? Okay? Kapag ka ang tao umiiyak o kapag ka ang tao humihiyaw, those are behaviors, isn't it? At kakaibang behaviors yon that signify the need for help. The need for help. So, Sa inpatient facilities, ginagamit ang behavioral observation, no? Sa behavioral research laboratories, okay? And also in the classrooms. So, madalas, ito ang ginagamit ng mga teachers. Halimbawa, sa mga batang tinuturuan nila. So, um, nag-o-observe ang mga teachers. Hindi ba? Tapos magre-report sila na something is problematic with this pupil of mine, and I might not be able to handle him, so I have to refer him. So very important ang behavioral observation. Okay. Halimbawa, sa amin sa college, sa collegiate level naman, so mapapansin mo ang iyong estudyante, mugtong-mugto ang mata. Tapos, tumitingin sa kawalan kapag ka ikaw ay nagle-lecture na teacher niya. So, kapag ka ang teacher is keen enough to observe, no, the behavior of his students, then he might be able to help, no, yung estudyante niya na nangangailangan ng attention. So, behavioral observation. Aside from that, there is what we call a kind of behavioral observation which is called naturalistic observation. Anong naturalistic observation? Well, from the term alone na naturalistic, wala kang babaguhin. Bilang observer, you have nothing to change, no, in the context or in the setting where you are observing, you're assessing. So it says there, you observe behavior of human in a natural setting, the setting in which the behavior would typically be expected to occur. Halimbawa, ikaw ay napadaan sa isang lugar, tapos biglang merong binatilyo na pervert, exhibitionist, to be exact. At pagkatapos, nagulat ka, dahil ikaw nga ay isang clinician, at ni-refer itong batang ito sa'yo, itong binatilyong ito sa'yo. So, bago ako maniniwala, or while naniniwala ako, or I took note of the referral, no, of my source, okay, I myself can perform behavioral observation to this individual without he knowing it, because I had an instance when I noticed this person in that particular place where he exhibited perversion. Okay? Where he exhibited perversion. So, pupunta ako sa kanya. Pupuntahan ko yung lugar na yun without me showing myself to this man. No? Okay? To this man. And so, makikita ko kung paano niya ginagawa. Okay? And mapapansin ko na doon pala niya gustong-gustong gawin ang kanyang form of perversion. So, it's a naturalistic observation, kumbaga. Halimbawa, gusto mong i-observe ang behavior ng bata na ang nanay ay biglang nagsabi, meron akong kakaibang napansin sa aking anak, Doc. Okay? Parang wala siyang wala siyang focus. Hindi niya mapofocus yung kanyang mata sa akin, yung kanyang eye contact, etc. So, what will you do? You don't need to set up the environment where you will observe the child, but you can just go there, in their abode, and you simply have to observe and try to confirm if the mother is correct that there is a problem in terms of eye contact, which is an indication maybe of what you call an indication of autism, maybe, okay, or an indication of attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder, such as those, okay? So, that is what we mean by naturalistic observation. Meron ding mga observations na nangyayari sa mga laboratories. Ito yung kailangan mong iset up, especially when you do a research about a certain um, a new phenomenon or a new behavior na magkakanda ka talaga ng research to confirm the existence that a lot no, of adolescents are manifesting such a problematic behavior. So lahat sila dadalhin ko sila um, sa laboratory na yan. At tignan ko nga kung totoo ba itong claim ng mga tao na naoobserbahan nila with this group of adolescents. Something like that. So, sa laboratory, it is more stringent in terms of how you set it up because basically, it is research-based. So, alam naman natin na kapag na-research, there is process. No? Hindi na siya natural. Kumbaga ba, mag-i-inject ka na doon or mag-e-employ ka na ng control group, okay? Or yung normal group, and then you get to compare. And then you are putting them in one setting. And that is nga the laboratory setting. So, hindi naturalistic observation ang i-employ mo doon. Because once you employed something wherein there is manipulation of the environment where you will observe the person, it does not fall under naturalistic observation. Especially if we talk about research, no? In particular behaviors. Okay? And the next one is role play tests. Ano naman tong role play test na ito? Talagang nagpe-play? Nagro-role playing? Yeah, that is actually correct. Why? You are utilizing this kind of tests because what you do as an assessor is you have to direct your assessee to act in a particular situation that you will tell them, no, to act. So it's very clear they are directed to act as if they are in a particular situation. So I am giving a situation to my assessee and how would you act it out? So merong ganon. Yan yung parang performance task, kumbaga na. Gusto kong makita gaano kayo kagaling sumayaw. Kung ipapa-perform ng PE teacher, di ba? Sa assessor naman, gusto kong makita kung paano niya i-act out ang ganitong sitwasyon. Saan niya ilalagay ang sarili niya? Ano ang magiging role niya? Kasi pamimiliin mo siya eh. No? If this is the situation that I am going to give you, what role would you like to play? And it is there where I am going to observe how the person will act, no? His role. Will act on his role, I should say. So, the assessees are evaluated with regard to their expressed thoughts. Ano sasabihin mo kapag ito yung sinabi nung kanyang kasamang magro-role play? Or granting na wala man siyang kasama, I have this situation, hypothetical na situation, sasabihin ko sa kanya bilang assessor. Tapos, eto ang sinabi niya sa'yo. Sinampal ka niya. How will you react? Eto ang question niya sa'yo. How will you answer the question of your mother to you? May mga tipong ganon. Alright? And so, the assessee is evaluated in terms of expressed thoughts, in terms of behaviors, the abilities, no? Is he able to organize his thoughts? Very fluent ba kapag siya ay nagsasalita na habang sinasabi niya yung kanyang ano ba yon? Yung kanyang part doon sa role play na yon? Or nag-i-stammer siya? Or ang kanyang behavior ay tila baga natatakot or hindi na nagsasalita, and all other variables. So, is there such thing as a tool like that employed in psychological assessment? Yes. Among children na eh. There is what we call, before doing the therapy with them, there is what you call a role play test. Halimbawa, you show them some puppets, and then in these puppets, may kanya-kanyang role. Halimbawa, family ito. May nanay, may tatay, may mga anak. And kapag ka nagsasalita ang mga to, ano dapat ang sinasabi nila? So doon mapapansin ng assessor, no, ganito pala ang family dynamics na kinalalagyan ng batang ito. And that is the reason kung bakit ito ang kanyang problema. Ito ang kanyang problema. O halimbawa, hawak-hawak niya yung dal, tatay, no? Ang hawak niya. Or yung puppet na tatay ang hawak niya. Tapos bigla niyang tinanggal ang ulo. Tatanungin mo na sa kanya, why did you do that? Okay, sasabihin ng bata sa'yo, because I hate my father. Why do you hate him? Because I hate him. So, that is where you can now make what you call probing. Okay? You already ask questions because of what you have observed in the role play that you made your client perform. That you made your client perform. O kaya, iro-role play niya yung mother niya, tapos iyak ng iyak ng iyak. So, are you saying that your mother always cries? Sasabihin niya sa'yo, yes. Why? Bigla niya sasabihin sa'yo, because they always quarrel with dad. And I always see dad get out of our house whenever they quarrel. So, naoobserbahan pala ng bata yon, no? And hindi pala lingid sa kaalaman ng bata na merong problema ang parents niya. Tapos, sa kanya napunta yung problema. Such as, nagpapakita na, nagmamanifest na ng symptoms of depression, o kaya anxiety, or nagpapanik na yung assessee. Okay? So, you can gather a lot of information using the role play tests. And the format could range from live scenarios with live actors. Pwedeng mangyari yon. So, ma'am, sino naman ang tatawagin ng assessor? Edi tatawagin niya yung mga staff niya, tinrain niya ang mga staff niya na gumawa ng drama, tapos mag-act out sila, tapos isali nila si assessee. Para lang magiging live or parang true to life nga yung senaryo na nangyayari at kinalalagyan na ngayon ng bata. Or ng assessee, I should say. Or pwedeng computer-generated simulations. So, the assessee is made to watch, no? The ones that are shown in the computer, kasi computer-generated simulations na, tapos, ikaw na, anong role mo dito? Para bang naglalaro ka lang din na ikaw yung kapag nakikipaglaro ka using the computer, you have yourself there immersed in the situation. That is why you know what to do kapag ka naglaban kayo dyan. Like when you do, ano ba yun? Dota, or hindi naman ako nagko-computer games, pero it's just like that. You are doing your role, and your behavior in that computer-generated simulation is being observed or is being recorded by the assessor. Okay. And next is computers, no? These are tools for assessment. And hindi lingid sa kaalaman nating lahat that computers are very much needed even in our learning, isn't it? And in psychological assessment, they are very much ano ba yon? They recognize, no, the importance of computers. At hindi nagkulang ang field ng psychological assessment to incorporate the use of computers in their undertakings. So, you can see there, computers can serve as test administrators, especially if meron na mga tests online, okay, or even offline. So kapag online, walang problema because you will really utilize computers in answering the questions, no? Kapag online test nga yan. And kapag offline naman, magagamit ito when you get to score, no? And get an initial interpretation, simple descriptive interpretation of your test scores. And bakit highly efficient yung test scores na palalabasin niya? Ang computers, kapag perfectly done yung kanyang pag-i-score, no? Base sa kung sino man ang gumawa ng program, ng scoring ng particular test na yan, very efficient ang test scores na ibibigay sa'yo. Halimbawa, yung mga board exam na yan, di ba? Computer generated na sila. Computer scored na sila. That is why, after a couple of weeks maybe, kaagad nang lumalabas. And can you question the result? Hindi mo na pwedeng i-question yung result. Because for them, the use of computers, they saw to it, no? Yung mga programmers, that it must be 100% or nearly 100% efficient. Okay. Board exam na yan di ba? Kailangan bang may dugas na mangyayari dyan? Of course, dapat wala. Okay. And in the use of computers to score tests, it may be done on-site. It may be done on-site and you call it local processing, no? Or conducted at some central location, yung central processing na yan. Halimbawa, pagka sinabing local processing, kapag ka nag-take ka ng civil service exam, both sub-professional or professional man yan, di ba sa region nangyayari yan? And bawat region, merong testing site. Okay? Merong testing site. If it is computer scored in the region alone, that's local processing. No? Pero kapag central processing, kapag board exam ang pinag-uusapan, because everyone, for example, in the Philippines who is, qualified to take the board exam for psychologists, no? It's central processing because it's in the central, there's only one in the nation, in the whole nation, that is responsible for processing or for checking, no, the papers of that particular board examination. Okay, and test-related data. Okay, yung test-related data may be sent to and returned from the central facility by means of the internet, phone lines, no, which you call it teleprocessing, mail, or even the courier. So, ganyan nangyayari ang scoring na ginagawa sa computers. And they are very helpful, no, in the assessment process. Mabilis kasi siya. But you know what, class? Not all psychological tests naman are computer scored. For example, I made mention of an objective na personality test. Pag sinabing objective personality test, it's a paper and pencil test wherein there is a specific answer to the specific questions, no? Being responded to by the test takers. So, ito yung mag-check ka ng sagot mo, mali o tama lang yan, o kaya nagla-Likert scale, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, satisfied, not satisfied, averagely satisfied, etc. You have choices and then you just have to encircle. These are objective type of test. Pero merong tinatawag na hindi objective or non-objective. And this we call as projective tests or projective techniques, wherein only experts or clinicians, no, who are experts in their particular field can do the scoring and the interpretation. And examples of projective techniques or projective tests are draw a person test, like a clientele um is told by the assessor to draw a whole human figure. Okay? And the interpretation of the drawing of this assessee of yours to the whole human figure depends on you as the assessor. So, hindi siya objective kasi it depends on someone else. It depends on the expertise or the exposure of the assessor concerned. Ganun lang yun. O kaya, you create stories no, out of the scenery or images that are being shown to you. No? And in your story, ito yung tinatawag nilang thematic apperception test. And in your story of the scenery uh, that was shown to you by your assessor, you have to write there the past, the present, and the future, no, of your story. And who else can score that? It is not being scored by the computer, no? It is scored by an assessor based on um, the knowledge that he has, based on his training, based on how many clienteles can undergone similar tests, and maning-mani na niya kung paano niya yon i-interpret. However, meron ding projective techniques class na ngayon ay computerized na. There is this very technical projective test called the Rorschach inkblot test, no? Na kung saan lahat ng mga responses ng clientele ay pwede nang ma-generate or ma-check through computer. I have not seen that yet. I have not seen that yet. I have seen the test. Okay. But in terms of, yun nga, yung employment of computer in checking it, uh, hindi ko pa yun na-experience, hindi ko pa alam kung paano yun gawin. Pero doing it alone by yourself, no? Kapag ka ikaw ay clinician, you need to be an expert because it entails a lot of aspects in the responses, no, of your client to be interpreted. So ang dami niyang bubusisihin. Like the content, like were there inhibitions maybe during the time na uh, na sinasabi niya kung ano yung mga nakikita niya sa figures na yan. Okay? Another, under computer. In computers, no, an account of a test taker's performance can range from a mere listing of a score or scores. So, yan ang pwedeng gawin ng computers. Pwedeng ililista lang niya yung score o kaya gagawa lang ng simple scoring report. Kung kayo na-experience nyo na yung may nag-pop out na psychology test, no, sa computer nyo, tapos na-amaze lang kayo, ay gusto ko itong i-take. Diba, dali-dali, meron siyang resulta kapag sineryoso nyo siya. So it is computer generated, and the scores already, the score that it will give you, no, is referred from prior responses of test takers like you during the past, no, or whoever took the test, whoever took similar test, no, recorded kasi yun. At dun na rin sila gumagawa ng norming nung test na yun. Kaya, kaagad, ay, eto yung resulta ko, ay, ang ganda, ang taas naman ng pagiging extrovert ko. Ay, napakataas. Ang personality type ko pala ay ESTJ. Ang personality type ko pala ay ENTJ. Napakataas pala ng intuition ko. Something like that. So, it's a simple scoring report. And test taker's performance could also be yung maibibigay ng computer yung more detailed, called the extended scoring report. Depende sa kung paano pinrogram, no? Yung psychological test na yan through the use of computers. Computer-aided kasi siya. Or you're taking the test using the computer. It includes statistical analysis of the test taker's performance. Kaya sasabihin sa'yo, ito ang percentile ng iyong score. If you remember, class, yung nagkaroon kayo ng NKE. Yeah, nag-NKE pa ba kayo? Yung National Career, something like that. Okay. Um, and it's computer scored. And you see at the back of your NKE result, no? That these are the courses you are more or less inclined to take when you will be in college. Something like that. So yan yung tinatawag na extended scoring report. Hindi lang score ang binigay, kundi extended siya dahil may konting statistical analysis, no? Yung performance nung test taker niya. So, yun nabanggit ko kanina, eto, anong percentile mo, ano ang percentage mo or frequency mo to have this kind of uh, ano ba yun, of preference, things like those. Kaya tinawag na extended scoring report. From simple scoring report to extended scoring report. Katulad ng sinabi ko sa inyo na example, kapag ka ginagamit yung computer scoring system ng uh, ng ano yung test na yun, ng Rorschach, no? Ink blot test. Okay? Now, eto, sa computers naman, ang dami-daming report, no? Ang dami-daming klase ng report na pwede kang ma-achieve. Okay. One is the interpretive report. What is this? It's just an inclusion of numerical or interpretive statements in the report, such as sasabihin lang sa'yo high, low, or unusual yung scores niya. Okay. You have high IQ, or your scores are not consistent because from the inconsistency index that was checked, it went beyond the normal range of consistency, something like that. As simple as that, interpretive report lang yun. So, napaka-simple lang ng inilagay. Pag sinabi namang consultative report, it is high-end interpretive report. Meaning to say, high-end siya dahil meron ng provision of expert opinion concerning yung pag-analyze ng data. Consultative meaning you have consulted from experts that this is the result and this is the implication. So kapag ka sinabing ito yung resulta, iba doon sa sasabihin pa na ito yung implication niya, ito yung inference na pwede mong makuha sa resulta ng kanyang score. That's why it is called high-end interpretive report. It is going beyond the interpretive report na nabanggit ko kanina. Okay? So, it provides expert opinion. So, sasabihin sa'yo, yeah, pwede siyang maging scholar sa abroad because of his superb IQ. And he will make it, or he will be able to pass. Napaka-strong yung prediction that he will be able to pass. It is because of these abilities, okay, that he had shown in the tests given to him or to her. Okay? So nasabi, may prediction na nangyayari. Ibig sabihin, ano na yon? It's more than just the interpretation of the test. But there is what you call prediction already. No? Or what would be the course of illness, no? Na meron ang taong to. After na nag-test siya, through the use of a computer, ng anxiety indexing, mga tipong ganon. anong mangyayari sa kanya. Okay? So, for example, isn't it that computer-aided yung mga laboratory tests na yan? Okay. And from that alone, pwedeng sasabihin sa'yo na ito ang magiging course ng illness na nakita namin out of this test conducted through the computer. Okay? Nagbigay na ng expert opinion yung nagbasa, no, doon sa um, nilabas na resulta ng test. And integrative report is designed to integrate data from sources other than that the test itself, such as previously collected data. So pagka sinabing integrative report, parang ang dami mong pinagkuhanan ng data mo. At pinagtagpi-tagpi mo yon, inanalyze mo ng mabuti, and you came up with a report that is integrated. Lahat ng anggulo, lahat ng aspeto, nilagay mo. Kaya tinawag na integrated yung data. And therefore, you will make a very good or a very comprehensive report. Kasi hindi lang iisa ang source ng information mo, kundi marami. And even to your prior collected data. Okay? So, dito sa computers na ito, as tool for psychological assessment, you come across yung CAT na yan. Okay? Ano naman ang CAT? It's Computer Adaptive Testing. So, merong concept na tinatawag na computer adaptive testing. How is that done? There is this computer's ability to tailor the test to the test taker's ability or test-taking pattern. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Halimbawa, ang test taker na to, sa mga simulang items pala, nahirapan siya. And therefore, si computer, kasi computer-aided yung test na yan, meron siyang kakayahan na i-rearrange yung mga items para ang uunahin muna ay yung mga medyo madadali na motivated yung test taker na gawin hanggang sa pumunta siya sa dulo, hanggang sa mahirapan siya ng mas mahirapan. Why not? Okay? Yung test-taking pattern naman sa computer adaptive testing is the computer was able to detect, no? How is this test taker doing, no? While taking the test. Siya ba ay nanghuhula-hula lang na parang lahat naman na number 3 ang piniling sagot or D ang piniling sagot? So, ang gagawin doon is, kailangan i-disarrange ko siya. Until such time, mahuhuli ko yan kung ano ba talaga ang tama niyang sagot. So, merong ganong klase, no? Na mga computer tests. Kaya tinawag na computer adaptive testing. Computer adaptive testing. And then we also have the CAPA. It's a computer-assisted psychological assessment. And this is the assistance which computers provide to the test users. The assistance which computers provide to the test user. Kaya sasabihin mo, ang ganda ng test kasi it's really very user-friendly, kamo na lang, or test-friendly. Bakit? Kasi you just have to click it and it is going to tell you what to do next. Okay? So, meron ng mga psychological tests or yung tinatawag na computer-assisted psychological assessment na it's really going to direct you as an assessee on what's going to happen next. No? And it's very easy to follow. It's very easy to follow. Okay? Next. Now, still under computers, we have Q Interactive. Ano ba to? No. you administer tests, no, as an assessor by using two iPads connected by Bluetooth. So, medyo sophisticated at saka mahal ang klase ng assessment na yan, pero Q Interactive nga ang tawag sa kanya dahil, well, your iPad to iPad na ang ginagamit. So, you have to take note of that. Q Interactive is the administration of tests by using two iPads connected to Bluetooth. Yung man tipong ako, hawak ko yung isang iPad, tapos I am manipulating it because I am going to direct my patient or my assessee on what to do, and ginagamit ng assessee yung isang iPad para sagutan niya whatever it is na ginawa ko doon as his assessor. Okay? Doon sa iPad ko. Kasi Bluetooth nga eh. So, what's going on with the administrator or the assessor, sinasalo nung assessee. Okay? Para mangyari or mag-take place yung assessment na yun. And then also very important sa computers, yung consideration of test client integrity. And that's according to Naglieri et al. In 2004. That, kasi nga, computers yan eh, computer aided. You just be very sure that the person taking the test, no, via computers, okay, are authentic people who have registered in the list of assessees. So, kailangan mag-match, di ba? Kaya kailangan yung ID nila. So, very important yun. Hindi nyo ba alam, class, na ang daming controversies din na nangyayari sa testing or sa assessment sa paggamit ng computers, no? Before, sa civil service, madaming nagkaroon ng kaso dahil ginawa nilang computer, it's a computer aided test, yung kanilang civil service exam sa prof at saka sub-prof. Pagkatapos, iba naman pala yung pumupunta na nagtitake ng test. So, kapag ka hindi ka listo, no, na administrator, wala na. Pumasa na yung pangalan nung nasa list. Do kung tutuusin, hindi naman sana. Kasi gumamit na siya ng ibang tao. Like 9 times na siyang nagtitake ng civil service exam, hindi pa niya pinapasa. Pero malaman-laman mo lang, all of a sudden, pinasa niya. Tignan mo dapat kung bakit niya pinasa. So, that is an issue on test client integrity. Kasi nga, minsan sa computer, while very easy to take tests in computers, there has to be, ito nga, yung they need to be very cautious in terms of yung pag-verify nung identity nung test taker. Or else, hindi yung talagang test taker ang mineasure mo ang ability niya, not the test taker, not the real test taker, that you made diagnosis of what you have observed in him, or you made some analysis of the scores, no, through his computer tests or exams. Yung pala ibang tao na. So napaka-importante yung tinatawag na establishment of test client integrity. Kasi marami nang nangyaring ganyan. They abuse the use of computer-aided psychological assessment. And then we have other tools. Akala nyo ba yun lang yung mga pwede na gagamitin sa psychological assessment? Look at this. DVD, interactive online programs. No? Yung example dyan, yung TheraView. And then yung VR or yung virtual reality na technology. These are other tools, no? Used to assess. Hindi nyo ba alam na kahit sa pagsisik ng counseling, no, or pag-undergo ng therapy by a patient or a client, no, to the therapist, VR technology na ang ginagamit. Lahat ng yun, posible na. Because of, yun nga, whether we like it or not, the introduction of what you call new technologies, no, for better efficiency, to ease the lives of all these assessors doing the assessment, etc. And the therapies, and of course, considering din yung possibility that you are able to talk with uh, your your clinician because you need it at this very moment. And yung clinician mo nasa malayong lugar, pero siya lang talaga yung gusto mo. So because of these tools, nagiging posible na lahat. However, we need to be caution in the use and abuse of this because very high, no, yung report of abuse of computers in psychological assessment. And then, look, yung thermometers, kala nyo ba? It is also a tool for psychological assessment. Because ang mga thermometers, ginagamit yan to check body temperature and blood pressure. Hindi ba? And, well, sa assessor, sasabihin mo, during the time he took the test, he was not okay. Because you know what, class? In psychological assessment, all of these must be taken into consideration. Nagno-note, no, yung test administrator. Mainit ba yung aking kliyente? Ibig sabihin may sakit siya. So kaya pala, ganito ang dahilan kung bakit napakababa ng score niya. So you are to make a decision. Will you continue the assessment or not? Okay? Biofeedback equipment. Ito yung ginagamit to see the bodily reactions to stimuli. To see the bodily reactions to stimuli. And we also have the penile plethysmograph na sinasabi. Ito yung nagte-check ng male sexual arousal. Makikita nila dito yung makikita nila dito yung uh, uh, etong male na individual ba na ito ay um, has the tendency to become a pervert dahil masyadong mataas ang kanyang sexual arousal that he's going to perpetrate victims in 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 ay in any time, no, his sexual arousal increases, yung mga tipong gano'n. So you can make some predictions, you can make some inferences using these other tools. Katulad halimbawa yung lie detector test that can be used in psychological assessment. Kaya nga ginagamit yan, di ba? Kapag sa forensic psychology, o kaya gusto mong malaman kung dapat ba na ma-held custody itong taong to dahil siya ang pinaka-prime na suspect sa pagpatay niya sa kanyang pamilya. I once watched yung first na, ano ba yun? Na first case in the US na minurder niya yung kanyang family. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not very detailed if it's really the first case na minurder niya mismo ang kanyang pamilya. And you know, the very tool that they used so that the judge, no, held him in custody sa isang prison cell is because he failed in the lie detector test. He failed in the lie detector test, which is also an essential tool in psychological assessment. You should remember, class, na ang psychological assessment ay hindi lang sa educational setting. I think I said that during the first discussion that I had with you, isn't it? It's it's utilized in almost uh, field. It's in almost all fields, no, where um, human beings are around, 'di ba? So sa atin naman ginagamit ang mga psychological tools na yan eh, no? Tayo naman ang ina-assess eh. Tao naman ang ina-assess eh, 'di ba? So, ang daming mga evaluation tools, they must just be correctly used, and they are correctly used when the assessor is an expert in the sense that the assessor is qualified, no? Exposed and experienced to do assessment, to do assessment. So, there are a lot of tools. Kaya nga, hindi ma-contain ng buong libro ng psychological assessment, yung mga tools na yan. Pero, one thing that you have to get from here is that psychological assessment is really technical, and it tries to achieve scientific answers to inquiries about humanity. And psychological assessment must really be scientific because psychological assessments clienteles are human beings. And you always have to consider the term psychometrics nga eh. Ano ang minimeasure? The psyche. And would you want na basta-basta na lang ang pagme-measure ng psychological aspects ng mga tao? Tao yan. Gusto mo bang mali ang magiging resulta ng psychological assessment mo? Siyempre hindi. Because the very reason that you want to be assessed is because you want to be helped, no? It's because you want to be aware of what's happening with you. It is because you want to know whether you need help or not. It is similar to physical or medical check-up, ang pagkakaroon ng ang pag-undergo ng psychological assessment, no? So it is as important as physical well-being, no? Ang iyong mental well-being or ang iyong psychological well-being in general. And psychological well-being could actually be ensured when it is assessed scientifically. And very scientific naman ang ine-employ ng psychological assessment. Diba? So, hindi dapat lalampas or lalabas doon sa goal ng psychology that everything needs to be empirical and scientific. Okay? So, thank you once again, and that ends the lesson on the tools, no, used in psychological assessment.